Today, International Banker is joined by Mr. José Luis Muñoz of Banorte to discuss the bank's financial performance and commitment to sustainability. Really good to have you with us today.
Very nice to be here.
Now, last year saw Banorte celebrate 125 years of being Mexico's strong bank. What does being a strong bank mean for Banorte in 2026, especially in terms of your financial strengths and your resilience in the face of changing economic and geopolitical environments? And would you say that the definition of strong bank today significantly differs from what it has meant for the bank historically?
I think being a strong bank has been the main characteristic of the bank since its beginning. It started as a very small bank, a regional bank in the north of Mexico, and then through different acquisitions, it grew to become a national bank. And then through a series of other non-banking acquisitions, it became a financial group. So it's been a story of growth and strength and resilience, going through different economic cycles, through COVID, through now facing different competitors, fintechs and digital competitors. So all that resilience is what characterizes Banorte as strong.
Strong bank. Now, last year saw healthy growth of the bank's loan portfolio, which I understand was led mainly by gains in consumer lending, particularly mortgages, plus 7%, auto loans were up plus 32%, credit cards plus 14%, and then payroll loans plus 11%. Now, what are the main factors that you can attribute the strong growth of consumer lending, such as these numbers display?
I think in general, the strength of consumer in Mexico has to do with very healthy employment rates that are consistently in a good trend in the country. Second, inflation is still under control thanks to the monetary policy that has been implemented. And also we have seen, particularly in one of the numbers that you mentioned, the auto loan sector, there are some Chinese manufacturers that have arrived to Mexico. They lead the new car sales, and they don't come with a financial arm. So they need to partner with local financial institutions to sell their cars. And Banorte has been one of the leaders in those partnerships. So that explains why auto loans are the fastest growing one. And outside that macro condition, another thing that has led growth in consumer within Banorte, it's a strategy that we call hyper-personalization, which is basically integrating many years of investments in IT and technology and analytics to learn about our customers' preferences, transactions, and to model and to propose to them the next best offer. So that ability to be more proactive and to offer a dedicated product service for clients, that has been a differentiator and helped us grow in consumer particularly.
Very good. Now, the bank also recorded a 20.06% capital adequacy ratio, while Tier 1 common equity capital came in at 12.61%, well above regulatory requirements. What factors do you believe helped the bank to maintain such strong capital and liquidity positions?
I believe there are different factors. One of them is that Banorte is among the systemic banks in Mexico, which are basically 7 or 8 banks. We are number 2 in terms of size. And we are the only one among those banks that don't have a foreign subsidiary. So in case we need a capital injection, we cannot turn to our rich mom or rich dad somewhere abroad to give us some capital. So we need to have, let's say, a safety buffer in our capital. And that has been something that management has been very keen to preserve. And the other thing, which is very relevant too, is the focus on risk. I think those healthy growth numbers that you mentioned earlier, they must be accompanied and supported by a very strong risk discipline, because that will eventually take care of capital and maintain the healthy capital levels that we have.
How important would you say SME banking is to Banorte? And what specifically separates Banorte's SME banking business from the competition? Or why do SME customers choose to bank with Banorte over other banks in the local market?
Yes, for Banorte, the SME sector is fundamental. It's part of the core of the Mexican economy, and it's a very important part of our customer base. So we have been investing in people to have more salespeople that are fully dedicated to SMEs, so that there is a very close interaction and knowledge of every customer by our sales force. And that provides our clients with very quick responses and the kind of service that they are expecting. And if you add to that our extensive branch network, which is mostly concentrated in the northern states, the center, and in the southeast, where we have a lot of most of the SMEs located, I think that serves well to the availability of resources where SMEs need it.
According to the latest figures, Banorte's banking network extends to 1,216 branches, 12,168 ATMs, 245,894 point-of-sale terminals, and 45,259 correspondents. Would you say that this network sufficiently covers the entirety of Mexico's population from a financial inclusion perspective? Are there areas of unbanked or underbanked communities where you would like to extend the network?
Yes, I think that vast infrastructure truly covers. If you look at Mexican GDP, it's basically concentrated, as I was mentioning earlier, in the northern states, the ones that are close to the border with the U.S. There's a lot of manufacturing facilities in those states. Mm-hmm. Also in the center of the country, where a lot of the also manufacturing and services industry is mostly concentrated, and then in some states in the southeast where there is a lot of tourism. So in those three main areas, that's where most of the economic activity in the country takes place. That's where most of our branch network is located, and in that way, I believe the current infrastructure serves very well our clients. Where we have individuals and smaller SMEs located in the other states, I think the infrastructure also covers it well. And that's also where we rely when we go into smaller cities and population centers. The different alliances that we've made with correspondent agencies, that gives us another more coverage within the country, where necessarily people don't need to travel to a place where there is a branch. They can walk down the street to the nearest mom and pop store, where typically we have correspondent relationships with those, and that's when they can make transactions. So if you add, let's say, the physical infrastructure to the digital one, where people basically can have most of the services that they need in their phone, the Banorte mobile app, I think that covers it quite well.
What is the Banorte customer voice system, and briefly, how does it work? Can you provide a recent example of this system being instrumental in shaping a particular strategy for the bank?
Well, Banorte Voice, the voice of the customer, is basically the center of everything we do. Whenever there is an opinion about a product or a service coming from the customer, if it's good, we praise it and we continue working hard to maintain those services. But if it's something that we could do better, then we have a culture inside Banorte that it is called cells. So these cells are multidisciplinary working groups that have a very specific target to reach. So whenever the voice of the customer says, this is not working well, this could be improved, this is not something that lives up to the standards of the bank, then a new cell is created. The task of that cell is to improve that process or that product, and that multidisciplinary group continues operating until it reaches the desired state. So that's how we treat voice of the customer. It immediately becomes a task group inside of the bank until that process is fully resolved. And right now there are, I would say, thousands of cells within Banorte working on different voice of the customer concerns and priorities.
Now, Banorte joined the Task Force on Nature-Related Financial Disclosures, TNFD, back in 2020. Can you briefly explain the significance of TNFD and how it has helped shape the bank's policies relating to nature and biodiversity in the years since you joined? More recently, which of the TNFD's recommendations, if any, have you successfully incorporated into your financial sustainability decisions, say, over the last couple of years?
Sure. I think one of the things that characterize Banorte is that we always want to adopt the best practices in most of the things that we do. Especially in sustainability, we have always been partnering with the main frameworks and following the best global standards, and TNFD is one of them. It is, as we believe, the gold standard in identifying risks and opportunities related to nature. Mexico, it's a very rich and biodiverse country, so that gave us even more interest in participating in something that, for one, takes care of that biodiversity, and second, gives us more insight into what are the risks, the dependencies, and the opportunities that our clients face related to nature, so we can be better prepared to work with them and help them find projects that will help them cope better with those risks, or even find opportunities to keep growing. So it gives us a lot more insight following best practices.
Now, Banorte has a stated commitment to foster the growth of 1 million trees between 2025 and 2030 to expand Mexico's forest cover. How are you progressing thus far with this task, and what are some of the key strategies you have employed or are planning to employ to achieve the 1 million target, which is a big, ambitious target, isn't it?
It is. It's an ambitious target. We thought that being a large financial institution in Mexico, we had to do also something more ambitious in terms of reforestation and taking care of the environment there. So we signed a pledge last year to until 2030 to reach 1 million trees, and then during 2025 we are, I would say, 240,000 trees that were already planted in 2025. This year we will continue towards that goal. We're moving more not into reforestation but conservation. We believe it's equally important to preserve what it's already there more than adding more trees specifically for this year. So I think that's our next step, but we're confident that we can reach the 2030 target.
So what are the key responsibilities of Banorte's Sustainability Committee, and what are some of the strategies this committee has proposed in order to specifically address financial inclusion, especially with respect to gender equality?
The Sustainability Committee is integrated by all of the senior management members in the group. And by doing that, we make sure that everyone is committed and that we have all the authority from the top level to execute all the projects that we need to be implemented to follow Banorte's sustainability strategy. Specifically talking about financial inclusion and specifically gender products, we launched a couple of years ago a product that is directed to women entrepreneurs. It is a credit facility that it is specifically tailored for women who it has some benefits in not necessarily in the interest rate, not only in the interest rate, but it also provides them with fewer requirements to get the loan, which has been a barrier for most women entrepreneurs to start their credit history. So identifying or addressing that need has been key for us, and it's a product that has been very well accepted by that sector of the population. It has been growing quite well, and it started in the sustainability committee.
It's kind of removing a barrier creates opportunity. Okay.
Correct.
Now, can you provide some insight into the training and educational resources which Banorte has developed recently to ensure that employees have the necessary skills and awareness regarding sustainability and climate change? And in particular, what have been some of the key strategic partnerships that you've formed to enable the provision of free educational courses on various sustainability projects?
Sure. Well, there are different needs depending on the different segments with all the people at Banorte. So for one, we have been issuing biannual mandatory training for everyone in the bank, so they are aware of the importance of sustainability. What are the main projects that we're following? And then there are more specific and tailored trainings to different groups. For example, the risk team has a much more technical and intense training regarding climate stress testing and modeling for climate-related issues. There has been also dedicated trainings for the sales force to identify sustainable finance opportunities. That's something that is very specifically directed to the salespeople. And also at the board level, we need to ensure that board members are also aware of the latest trends. So board training is also part of the priorities. So it's really a very broad program that we follow.
The FIFA World Cup is taking place in Mexico as we speak, with Banorte noting in its annual report that the event is expected to draw over 5 million visitors to your country and leave an economic spillover of between 1.8 and 3 billion US dollars. Do you believe Banorte is optimally positioned to benefit from this event? And in addition, in March 2025, Banorte acquired the naming rights to the iconic Estadio Azteca in a 12-year sponsorship deal, rebranding it as Estadio Banorte. What are the main benefits to the bank of this deal?
Yes, we're very excited to be hosting the World Cup again. This is definitely something that brings a lot of transactions in terms of consumer lending, credit card spending, travel, and tourism. So in those sectors, I think Banorte is very well positioned to leverage that. We welcome people that are coming into Mexico and staying after the World Cup. It's summer, so it's a good time to spend some more time. So the World Cup is not really, or the tourism flow is not necessarily concentrated in the cities where there are matches taking place, but in some other traditional or more traditional touristic areas. So Banorte is well positioned to support clients, both retail and the SME and corporates that are benefiting from this great event. And regarding the stadium, I think it's an iconic opportunity. It's a very iconic stadium for Mexico City, and the fact that it's now branded on Banorte, it reflects kind of the strength and the passion that Banorte has for Mexico.
Which is where we started our conversation today. So thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you, Simon. Happy to be here.